Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7 says, "The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender." Shalom, Shalom Yeshua. Welcome again to Rod. And that's a question, it's a verse that I think we should take a minute to think about. What would happen today if everything that you did not own was taken away from you? I'm talking about everything. What I mean by own is, sure, I'm not talking about your land, even though you pay taxes on it. I'm talking about all the things that you have on loan. Your car, your cell phones, all the things in your credit card, any possession that you think is yours that somebody else, you're still paying somebody else for. What would happen if they came and took it all away? What would your life look like? What would your life look like? And that's something I think we have to strongly consider, strongly think about in the times that we are in today. What would it really look like if they came and took everything that you were still paying on? Because debt is, this country and the large majority of people are up way over their head. They're drowning in debt. And they don't really own anything. I look at people who make ample amounts of money, way more than I have ever made, way more. And they, are massively in debt. Massively. That's the one thing that I had learned, before, and then especially recently. Get out of debt. Pay off your debts. If you can't afford it right now, maybe you don't need it right now. And if you need it right now, well, there should be a plan. And this is just my personal application. I don't ever get into a debt that I can't pay off in a year or two. Even when I purchased this land, I tripled and quadrupled the payments on this land so I could pay it off in less than half the time that they were proposing. I think they were proposing 5 years. I think I paid it in just over 2. If I can't buy something in cash, I just won't buy it. And you take into consideration that most people don't have a savings. They don't have anything, that they have no cash set aside for anything. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. The borrower, always living life, lending. A time is coming where you're not going to be able to live your life on lending. I'm borrowing. You're not going to be able to live your life borrowing your for your necessities for your existence. I want a brand new car. I'll take out a 6-year loan, 7-year loan to get this new car that I'm never going to pay off because 3 or 4 years into the loan, I'm going to trade it in and get another one. By the time we actually pay off the things that we have, we've damn near ran to the ground already. It's something I want us to seriously consider and think about. We talk about freedom. We talk about self-autonomy. But in reality, we don't own and have our self-autonomy because somebody else has it. What would your life look like if they came and took everything away? And I'm talking about even for those of you that so-called live on community. All right, this is for y'all too. You don't own the land. You don't. There's just a lot to consider in today's time and in regards to self-autonomy. And I know a lot of brothers that have deliberately chosen not to get themselves in terrible amounts of debt. They've chosen not to extend themselves far more than they ever, could afford to pay back. I have strived to live that way. If I can't afford that thing, I just won't have it. Or I'm gonna have to save up for a year or two before I get it. Or if I decide to get it on credit, well then I have an ample plan. I have a 1 or 2 year plan to pay that thing off. Especially if it's an item, vehicle or. I never tried to get myself entangled in things where you're dropping $400, $500, $600 a month on a vehicle. That just never made sense to me. Cars, I try to pay them cash. In fact, I have paid them cash. Land's one of those things that it can take you a little bit of time, and what you're doing is you're actually exchanging your rent payment for your land payment. So that actually can make some sense. But some people live heavily, heavily in debt. And you look in the world today, and I'm looking at Amazon and all these websites, and you can finance stuff on Amazon now. You can finance. I saw a firearm website where you can finance the firearm for 2 and 3 years. Finance a firearm. And people are taking to this stuff hook, line, and sinker, and they find themselves in humongous amounts of debt. Unable to pay it back, unable to get free, and at the end of the day, if society were to fall apart, or if these banks and loaning institutions decided to call everything in, a lot of people would be in trouble. That's why for me, it's important to not get myself in ample amounts of debt that I can't pay back in a year or two. I've learned my lessons throughout my life of not getting myself in those situations, of being able to, in 6 months' time, pay off everything that I owe. In 6 months' time, in 3 months' time. And that's how I choose to live today. Because it prevents me from getting myself into a situation where I'm stressed out because an economic crisis is happening, and whether you rent or you're renting to own, or you're got a loan on something, you're not able to afford it. Times are changing. And as times are changing and as the economic situation is getting worse, you're finding more and more people that are getting themselves deeper and deeper in the debt. You gotta be wise in these times. You gotta be very wise. We don't know what tomorrow brings, and we don't know. Things are looking so shady right now that I would not want to be a person that owes as these times continue to get worse. And that even includes rent. I don't even want to owe rent right now. The rich will over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. How do we really have our self autonomy if we are always serving lenders? Bless y'all. Shalom.